Hey y'all, let's make some sourdough bagels. I've done a video on bagels before, but I haven't done a complete walkthrough. So here in my mixing bowl, I have my levain that I made. This is a double batch, so I need 300 grams of sourdough starter that's active and bubbly. As you can see, she's very active and bubbly and beautiful. To make a levain, you just mix up as much starter, flour, and water as you need for your recipe. I go ahead and do it in my bowl. That way I don't have to mess up a jar. Feed my starter, throw her back in the refrigerator, and I'm good to go. No discard. So, super simple. So, I've got 300 grams of levain here. And to that, I'm going to add 500 grams of warm water. Warm, not hot. You want your water to be less than 110 degrees. This is about 98 degrees, or it was a while ago when I temped it. So we're going to add that in. Give her a mix. I've got my little dough whisk here. You'll notice that in my recent videos I've been using this wooden dough whisk because I don't like the metal ones. The stuff gets all stuck down in the little cracks and corners and it's hard to clean. This one, super easy to clean. You just let it soak and it's good to go. And it does just the same. And if you don't have a fancy dough whisk, you can use a spoon or a fork or whatever you want to. Metal is not going to kill your sourdough starter. I don't care what anybody says. I literally let this levain rise overnight in a metal bowl. I'm going to mix her up until she's milky. Because it did sit overnight in this bowl, I am going to scrape the sides down, make sure there's not any little dry bits in there. I did have it covered. Once that's good and milky, looking like that, no big clumps, we're going to add our flour and our salt. Oh, and our honey. Some bagel recipes will call for sugar. I prefer to use honey in mine. I don't know why. I try to stay away from sugar as much as possible. So, honey it is. We need 80 grams of honey. I buy her in bulk. This is a big old chunky jar, bottle. Ooh. Or 100, you know, that's fine. A little extra sweetness won't hurt anybody. I'm gonna mix that up good before I put my flour in. Okay. Now, we need 1,000 grams of flour. I have recently switched because my local store didn't have bread flour for some reason because I live in the middle of nowhere. So I've switched to unbleached, not enriched, all-purpose flour. Haven't noticed a difference. Some people say it's got to be bread flour. Some people are wrong. So, 1,000 grams of flour. I use unbleached, unenriched because I don't want any extras. I mean, we don't need it. $1,010, close enough. Salt. 22 grams. I use Himalayan sea salt. You can use whatever salt you want. I wouldn't use anything that's real clumpy like kosher, you know, like flaky salt, just because it's not gonna get in there real good. It's gonna leave big clumps. So we need 22 grams of salt. On the money. Okay, now I'm going to give this a good mix with my dough whisk. I'm not going to necessarily try to get it, I'm just going to try to get it into a cohesive shagginess because after this I'm going to put it in my mixer and it's going to mix with the dough hook for like 10 minutes. Some people will knead by hand for 5 to 7 minutes. I don't have time for that. I mean, I have time, I just don't have the energy. We're just kind of getting it all mixed together. When you've done as much as your little dough whisk can possibly do, remove your watch and jewelry. I get a rubber scraper. I'm going to scrape down the edges of my bowl because I got some dry flour on there. And I'm just going to kind of mix it in by hand a little bit just to help it out. Like I said, the mixer is going to do the majority. You just want to make sure you don't have any big clumps of dry flour left down in the bottom. Now this is a double batch. If you have a smaller mixer, you might not want to do a double batch, so you might want to cut these ingredients in half. I'll make sure that on the recipe card I put the single batch and the double batch recipe so that it'll be easier for you guys. Okay, I think that is good enough. Alright, now we're going to pull in our star of the show. Uh-oh. Make sure she's not stuck on the corner. The good old KitchenAid. Again, one of the best gifts I've ever received from my loving son for Mother's Day. Pop this on here. Dough hook. Alright, now we're going to let this go on about a 3 setting, which is just below medium, for 10 minutes. Alexa, start a timer for 10 minutes. Okay, now that our mixer has danced all the way across the counter, scoot her back. Thank you for your service. Pull out our dough hook into the sink. Now you want to check your dough for what's called window pane. You're going to stretch it out. It's going to be pretty stiff at this point because the gluten network is going good. And you want to make sure that before it really starts to break, you can see light through it, which you can. So she's good. Okay. If you feel your dough, it's not really sticky because you have worked that gluten network so well in the mixer. If you don't have a mixer, you can do this by hand, 7 to 8 minutes. Big arm workout. But, I mean, she's good. She is kind of a dull color, not shiny, and she doesn't really stick to your hands. Now we're going to put her back in. I'm going to scrape down the sides just because there's a little bit stuck to the sides here. And I'm going to put this covered into my oven with the light on. Oven is not on. It's about 85 degrees in there. So we're going to go in there and let her double. I don't know exactly how long that's going to take. I'll just watch it throughout the day, and after it's doubled, we will continue with shaping our bagels and letting them do their second rise. So, let me take that back off. There it is now. See? You can even push it down a little bit so that you can really get a good read on when it's doubled. By the time this is doubled, it'll actually be kind of above the top. So, shower cap. over the top of the bowl. I get the extra large one so that it'll go over these big bowls. And into the oven with the light on, she goes. After I pull everything out. Because if you don't store your frying oil and your big cookie pan inside your oven, where else do you put it? Alright, in she goes. See you in 6 to 8 hours. Okay, it's been about 5 hours since we put this in our oven to proof. Now, remind you, it is like 85 degrees in there. So that is going to make your things go a lot faster. If you don't want it to proof that fast, if you want it to go overnight, then you would want to leave it out on the counter where it's cooler. Clean counter. This is our dough. She is bursting at the seams. We're ready to pop. Let's see if we can get it out of this bowl. There we go. She's stuck a little bit. Get these pieces that are stuck to the sides here. Okay. Now this is going to make 16 bagels, so I'm going to, let me get it in a round shape to make that a little bit easier. I'm going to weigh them out. I'm going to wrap my dough in my shower cap. See how much my total dough weighs. $19.47. Alexa, what's 1,947 divided by 16?
1,947 divided by 16 equals 121.6875.
So 121 and a half for each one. So I'm going to put my shower cap on my scale. There we go. And go ahead and start cutting. So each one should weigh 121 and a half. 173. We'll do this so that we try to make them somewhat concise. What do we want? Oh, there's one. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Perfect. Okay, now we're just going to take our individual little balls and turn them into rounder balls. And for the sake of the video, I will poke holes in my bagels this time. I have gotten comments about those aren't bagels, they don't have holes. Well, I mean, it just kind of seems like a waste of time to me, but I'm going to put the holes in them this time. So, hole in the middle, both fingers. roll them out onto a parchment lined baking sheet. They're going to rise from here again, so. I'm going to cover those in saran wrap and let them rise for another probably hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just until I get done eating dinner or whatever. And we'll come back and boil those and then pop them in the oven.